Honored to have Jack Posobiec with us, Navy veteran intel officer, a news contributor. He's on the ground everywhere, and he's the go-to guy for a lot of information on China, on election fraud, and you were with us on the War Room yesterday, right? Jack, what do you think about TPSAS and this crowd here today? Did you think it was going to be so well attended with the COVID and everything?
Well, I tell you what, this is my, I think, third or fourth Turning Point event. Well, I should say third or fourth year attending Turning Point events, because they do have various events throughout the year that I go to. But this is probably the biggest, actually the biggest one that I've been to. I mean, you're seeing thousands of people. And what's amazing is, and the room, I'm sure you'll show some shots of it later, but they actually are socially distanced in there. They do have the seats spaced out. It's really well done.
But the crowd's massive.
And the crowd is enormous, and I think that Turning Point for a lot of young conservatives, especially at the end of the year, it's sort of a time where, look, it goes off the college schedule, right? So finals are done, but there's always sort of that. I remember when I was in college, right? There was always that little period you got sort of you finish your finals, but it wasn't quite Christmas yet. And you could go home, you could do whatever, you're with family, you're just hanging out, right? But I think it's very smart what Charlie did was identify that college kids don't have a specific event, they don't have a targeted thing to do during that time frame. So to hold an event, and it's bold, right? It's a bold move, holding it so close to Christmas. And I even questioned it at first when I first heard of it, but he has definitely had a lot of success with it. And I think that the fact that it's become a can't miss event every year on the level with CPAC.
So I was concerned, a lot of these kids are virtual learning. I was wondering what impact it had on Turning Point. They have so many chapters now across the country. These kids, some of them are home, right? They don't want to be in a dorm and virtual learning in a dorm. So I'm very excited about the turnout here. These kids are suffering across the country in the education system. I was reading yesterday that 50% of black kids in LA are not re-registering for online classes. Wow. So, what's the impact nationwide by keeping these kids out of school, right?
Well, I mean, you understand and that people, especially children, right, they do crave that social atmosphere. And, even for folks that, so take it back for a second, right? Take COVID out of it. There are people who homeschool, right? That's like a regular thing.
Yes.
But at the same time, they are still, predominantly involved in church activities, community activities. They're making sure that their kids have that social interaction, because everybody knows that when kids, I'm a father of two myself. They're not at school age yet. I got a 2-year-old.
Yeah, congratulations.
And it's
very exciting.
Old, literally a 2-week-old. Thank you. But, that is something that even with my 2-year-old, I can see that, I love playing with him, I love spending time with him. But when he's starting to get around kids his own age, or really his own size, I would say, maybe a little bit older, that there's just something else that goes on. And you can see him light up. You can see how fun he has. He's got some cousins that are similar age. Right. And I'm even realizing that as a father, that's just something that my child needs. That's something that he needs.
The American Academy of Pediatrics says, these kids are virtual learning online, and then they go on their cell phones, and then they go in front of the TV, and then they play video games. This is not healthy for a young kid.
Look, I was in college and high school before any of this was going on, and before they really had that kind of stuff.
Right.
I'm going to tell you right now that I would have found think of it. I would record, probably, this is what I would do. I would record like a video of myself kind of being there. Yeah. And then, and I would act like I had a bad signal or something, and then click it off. And I'd be doing something. Maybe I have like one headphone in, checked in, but half checked out.
I'm telling you. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on in China. So Steve Bannon says we're in an information warfare domain. How serious is what's going on? And this breach that happened was months ago, right? So tell us a little bit about what's going on with China right now.
Well, what we're in with China right now, it's gone beyond just I would actually say that we had been in an information warfare conflict with China since COVID and the pandemic exploded. I was one of the first people actually to identify this, that as a Mandarin speaker, China was my specialty in the Navy.
Right.
And, just as part of my reporting, I do kind of keep an eye on what's going on in China. I read Chinese language media, Chinese social media, the part that you can access.
Very difficult. I took it for a semester, and
you know what? There's a learning curve with it for sure, but once you kind of get over that, it's actually not so bad.
There's like 5 intonations for every,
Yeah, but it's kind of like in English where we have intonations, we just do different things with them.
Sure.
And again, once you get past that learning curve, it's actually you just start rolling.
English is hard to learn, right?
It's very hard to learn.
26 characters to deal with,
It's very hard to learn, right? So my wife, she's English as a second language, and even though she's been here 15 years, there's always still little slang, little nuances. Well, wait, why can't I say this that way? I said, you don't say it that way. And it's just, how would you know, right? How would you know learning from a textbook? So there's always something to learn. But really what we're in with China is, and this is very specific, that they've gone from information warfare to a type of economic, really, and also what we're seeing, espionage warfare.
Sure.
So the espionage warfare, we're seeing that on multiple fronts, not only, but it also involves this Eric Swalwell. When he was a sitting U.S. congressman, I want to be very clear with everybody that this is not just an Eric Swalwell problem, right? It's not just an Eric Swalwell China
There's
scandal.
These so-called honeypots, right? And this happens a lot. It probably happens a lot in U.S. corporations.
This is endemic of what China does. They do that to us on every level. In the military, if they can target any of U.S. military, I was in the Navy, so I know, believe me, you're making a port visit anywhere in that hemisphere. There are Chinese agents that are targeting you.
Let me ask
There are
you.
Chinese agents, and I'll even say this, in our country, where they know that we have, let's say there's a training base, or there's some type of training facility, they will target that town.
Set up shop.
Wherever it is, set up shop. You're out at a bar with the guys, and all of a sudden, this beautiful Chinese woman comes up to you, starts talking, and I'm not, I hope people don't think I'm like, just pulling this out. No, this is what we were told.
This is real.
And I know people this happened to. I personally know people this happened to.
So in about a minute, do you think Biden, if he winds up to be the president, is he going to be able to deal with China, or is he going to be compromised?
Biden is compromised through his son. He's compromised through his son, not only vis-a-vis foreign relations in general, but definitely when it comes to China. What his son was doing with China, not only in terms of what we can see, keep in mind, when you're looking at the laptop, the hard drive, which I've seen and I've had access to, that's only a portion of what's out there. That's what, I to put it this way, that's what Hunter Biden has on himself. Imagine what the Chinese, what the CCP has on Hunter Biden.
Jack Posobiec, we're so honored that you joined us today. Thank you so much, and we're going to see you here all weekend at TP USA, right?
Thanks so much,
SAS Student Action Summit. Thanks.